welcome to Crystal Moon Creations. Today I want to share with you a tutorial on how to make these purple flower dangle earrings. I originally created this design a few months ago and had it up on my Etsy. It just recently sold, and before I shipped it out I wanted to make a few more pairs based on that original design. So while doing that, I also decided to record it and share it with you guys. So thank you for watching this video and I hope you enjoy it. These are the earrings we are going to be creating today. There is a lovely flower charm on top of all of these dangles of sparkly bicones and rondels. It's connected with a little piece of chain, and on the top there's a rondel there, a larger one. So if you would like to join me, these are the materials we will be needing for this project. For materials, we will need 2 charms, some larger bead, mine are larger rondels, and then I'm using 4 smaller beads. Each earring is going to hold 3 of them for the dangle to create this cluster of sparkles. I have ear wires, a few jump rings, and small bits of chain that is 4 lengths long. That's what we're going to be connecting all of the sparkly dangles on the bottom to. And the last item we need is some head pins. The first thing we're going to use are the head pins. I'm going to start by putting all of the dangles on a pin. I like to do all of them at once and then move on to the next step so I could do them all at once as well. I stopped after putting 3 of the different beads onto head pins because I remembered the last color I put as a connector on the strand, and those ones need to go on eye pins. So I'll leave those out for the moment. To close these loops, I am going to be using my looper, and I'm just gonna go through all of these beads and round the edges with that loop. Being very careful at the end not to crack your beads. So I have created loops on all of these dangle beads, and some of them you'll notice have kind of open, wonky loops, and I'm going to go through with my round nose and just tighten up all of those loops. There you go, see? And that one is closed. And I just do that for each of the beads. Now that we have created all of the dangles and tightened all of the loops, we are going to create the eye pins for the rest of the beads. I like to use the little bits that I cut off from the dangle, and they're large enough to make your own eye pins. So carefully roll your end to create the loop, and then I will just pinch it here and bend it straight. There you go. So you make your own eye pin. Once you have all your eye pins, you will need 3 bicones threaded on and 1 of the larger rondels for each earring. Okay, once all of these are threaded onto the eye pins, I'm going to close the bicones with the looper, and then the larger rondels, as they show on the top, I want a tight loop. I'm going to do those by hand. And when I'm using the looper, I always turn it to make sure that my links are opening on the opposite sides. I don't know if it helps it, but it's just something I have always done. Okay, so after closing these with the looper, I am once again going to go in by hand and just tighten up the loops. Make sure all of them are closed so I don't have any problems later on when linking everything together. Okay, for the larger rondels, I am going to make these by hand. I'm going to actually bend it as the first step by hand. I find the larger beads you can bend by hand as opposed to the pliers, and it usually gets a little closer. And I'm going in with my needle nose and snipping an appropriate length for the loop. Going longer is a little bit better. You could always snip a bit more, but you can't add more. Okay, with that snipped, I'm going back with the round nose and just making that loop nice and tight. There we go. The last step before we start putting everything together is straightening the links. So I take 2 pairs of pliers and just make sure everything is laying flat in the same direction. I also go through the dangles and just make sure all of them are laying flat as well. Okay, now to make the actual dangles, I had made 3 of the same unit and before I connected it to the chain, so that's what we're going to start with. Each unit starts with one of the bicones, double-sided, and I'm going to be attaching one of the bicones to one side, one of the bicones to the other side, and the rondel along with the darker one at the other side. And also, to give these more fluidity and movement, before I attached the bicones, I added a jump ring in between. So I'm going to attach this with the jump ring instead of the loop on the bicone. And overall, that gives it a lot more fluidity in looks. They will flow better. Sometimes if you put the loops directly on, it might be a little stiff. So this is going to make this a much nicer dangle. And then the last bead, the rondel, I'm just going to put directly onto the bottom loop, not with the jump ring, just directly on there, and close it nice and tight. So this is what each unit will look like. And you could see how much movement those bicones have. Not stiff at all, very flowy. Like I said, each of these earrings is going to need 3 of these units. So here I go, make the second one. Okay, grabbing the bicone, attaching it to the loop. And we're keeping each of these the same, so whichever color bicone you put with the rondel is going to be the bottom, and we want to make sure they're all the same throughout. Okay, and the last item, adding the rondel. Okay, I am going to finish creating the other 4 for a total of 6 to complete the two earrings in the pair, and I will get back to you. To construct the final part of our earring, where we actually put everything together, we're going to start with a jump ring. This jump ring is a little larger than the ones that we put the dangles on with, and the first thing I'm going to grab is the bottom loop of a chain, add the charm, and a rondel with the double-sided loops, and close that. Along the other side, we are going to put the ear wire. So open that up. Now this ear wire, I just got to make sure which side the charm is facing, because that's the side I'm going to want the front of the ear wire. So put that on and close it. And then if you look, the ear wire, when it's facing forward, has the charm in front of the chain. Okay, now we're going to add the dangles along the chain. The top of the dangle is the one that has a single bicone on it. The 2 are going to hang on the bottom. So we're going to open up that top loop, and we are going to hang it on the last loop of chain from this earring. And then go back in and close it. The second dangle, going to do the same thing, open it, And this time we're going to hang it from the second loop. There we go. And close it. The third cluster we're going to want to put on the opposite side of the second. So you'll see the second one is hanging on this side. So we're going to know the third one up. We're going to want to hang the third one on this side. Okay. And that is on. And we close it. Now, if you look, you will have this earring, beautiful, with all of those dangly, free-flowing clusters on the bottom. And it is so sparkly and beautiful. Those extra jump rings give it a lot of movement. Okay, and now to finish constructing the pair, we're going to do the same thing with what we have left. And there you go. You have two beautiful earrings, sparkly, and they were relatively easy. I will say it's a lot of head pins for all these dangles, but the dangles are what's fun about this kind of earring. Thank you again for watching the video. I did notice in some spots when I was editing that it was blurry or shaky, and in the future I'll take care that that doesn't happen. I also wanted to give a big super special thanks to everybody who watched, liked, commented, and subscribed on my last video. It was so amazing to see how many people actually enjoyed it. I did not think that I would have that many, which it wasn't even a lot, but that many people actually watched my video. So thank you to everybody, and I'll hope to see you in the next one.